This presentation is called Teaching Social Skills in the Home. To give you a quick heads up on what we'll be talking about, today we're going to cover social stories, comic strip conversations, and power cards. These are three widely used strategies for addressing social skills deficits in students on the spectrum. So the first method of instruction is called social stories, and there are generally four types of sentences that are used in social stories. So the first is a descriptive sentence, which describes kind of the WHs of the situation. So where the situation is taking place, where the student is maybe having difficulty socially, who's involved, what they're doing, and why they might be doing it. Perspective sentences provide the student with some details about the emotions and thoughts of what other people might be feeling when they're making a social faux pas. So this kind of gives them some greater information about why it's important to maybe work on changing that skill. The directive sentences actually tell the student what they should be doing instead of their current behavior. And finally, the control sentence is something that typically your child would write, and it's a sentence to help them remember the story or to deal with the situation. They're not always used, and it's kind of up to you as to whether or not this is a skill your child has right now in their repertoire. So here's an example of a social story. So this is a friend who was getting angry in school and displaying some pretty gross behavior. This was created by my friend Darren Tagliarini. It's called When I Get Angry in School. So here you can see the descriptive sentences. I like to come to school. Maybe this is a picture of her school, so she's reminded of the environment. This is her desk where she does her work. Every day she tries her best, right? So this is kind of starting to tell her a little bit about the situation. When she tries her best, she feels happy. So it's again giving a little bit of perspective here. There are days, though, when she feels angry or sad when she's at school. So again, you can see the picture here for describing those emotions. Some days she feels happy or glad, and this is what she looks like. Now, we're providing some extra perspective for her here. Her teacher feels happy when she tries her best. Her teacher also feels happy when she works quietly. So you're getting the sense that these might be some difficulties for our little friend here. So again, we're trying to give her some perspective. These are the things we want to see. When I get angry, I cannot spit. So here's the new rule, right? Right now our friend gets angry at school and she spits. Sometimes at the teacher, sometimes at the floor. But now we're giving her a new rule that when she gets angry, spitting is not allowed. But whenever we give a rule like this, we need to tell her what she can do instead. So here you can see that when she spits, her teacher is not happy, maybe kind of grossed out even. So now here's the new rule. When I get angry, I know I should tell my teacher I feel mad. Her teacher's cool with that. She's given her the thumbs up. Now, in addition to saying I feel mad, instead of spitting, she can go and request a little bit of a break, right? She can go sit in her chair. Maybe her and the teacher have worked out a spot in the classroom that she can go when she needs a break. When she gets angry and she takes her break, she needs to sit quietly in the chair. Now we're going to give her a little more perspective. So in addition to kind of maybe ticking her teacher off a little bit when she spits, she might be hurting other people's feelings, or you could even say grossing them out, right? If that's something your child would understand. But now that she has her new rule of saying, I feel mad, and going to take a break quietly, she doesn't have to spit in school anymore. So this would be something like a control sentence. And when she uses this skill appropriately, so not spitting but taking her break, she makes everybody happy, including her teacher. And also her. So you saw in these last examples that there were lots of bells and whistles and kids popping up. That was all created in PowerPoint. So it's something that a lot of kids like. The nice thing about creating these in PowerPoint is you can also print them off and make them into a book. So the child can either view the social story on the computer prior to a situation where they might need that information, or they can view it in a little book that the teachers printed off for them. So very similar to social stories or comic strip conversations. And this might be used for more of an older child or a child with kind of more advanced skills. So it's not quite as maybe young or developmentally young as social stories are. So social stories or comic strip conversations are used in the same way to convey important information, to provide the student with some problem solving and conflict resolution skills, also to teach them some new skills, and to help them to follow some simple rules. Finally, these comic strip conversations do what social stories do, in that they communicate the perspectives and feelings and ideas of other people involved in the situation. And that's oftentimes the thing that our students or our kids are missing out on. So the elements of a comic strip conversation are much the same as social stories. First, you want to describe the event that's causing the problem for the student, give the perspective, thoughts, feelings of everybody involved, and then give them a solution to the problem and ideas on how they can avoid it in the future. Finally, we want to give them some praise or reinforcement for trying to use this new skill. Now, you can do comic strip conversations in a variety of ways. I'm going to show you an example that I created for one of my clients in a moment. But for those of you who are maybe not so technologically savvy, even using stick figures, smiley faces, thought bubbles, all of that works great as well. Some people choose to also use colors to express certain feelings. So maybe green represents happy, blue represents sad, black angry. So many of our kids have very good visual skills, and that's why these strategies are so effective. So let's take a look at an example. This is my friend Zach, and Zach really liked to hug girls, and he was in middle school, and it was really no longer appropriate. The other thing that he really liked about hugging girls is he got to smell their hair as he hugged them. So what we realized is we really needed to teach Zach a new way of greeting other people when he saw them in the hallway. So let's take a look at this comic strip conversation that I created in toondoo.com. That's www.toondoo.com. So what's really cool about this program is you can actually make the characters to look just like your child or your student, and insert these little thought bubbles. You can pick different places. So for Zach, a lot of this is happening like at the library, in the hallway, so that's why I picked this background. So let's read this comic strip conversation. So here's his friend. She says, "Hey, Zach, how's it going?" And as he's going in for the hug, you can see she's kind of thinking, boy, hugs make me uncomfortable. So that's giving him some perspective. Not everybody likes hugs, especially if they don't know you well. Maybe hugs are okay for family, but not so okay at school. So she tells him, "Hey, Zach, hugs make some people feel uncomfortable, but I like high fives better." High fives aren't necessarily so cool anymore. Now we would do daps, that kind of thing. We'd want to teach the socially appropriate skill. So you can see he looks surprised, and he says, "Gee, I'm sorry, Amy. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Next time, I'm going to give you a high five." So now he's got a replacement skill. He's got a new rule for avoiding this problem of making Amy uncomfortable. And here's his simple control sentence. So I don't have to hug people anymore to say hello. Now I can give high fives, and that's going to make everybody feel comfortable. So again, you can see very simple, just a simple, clear example, but you can use this for a number of different situations. And I highly recommend checking out this website at the bottom. It's completely free, and like I said, has some really cool features. So now let's talk about our last method of instruction. And this is called Power Cards. So Power Cards capitalizes on your child's special interest. So maybe they're really interested in Thomas the Tank Engine. So we're going to tell them how Thomas the Tank Engine solves a problem, right? So in the first paragraph of the power card, the hero is going to kind of talk about what the problem is for them. They're going to talk about how they solved the problem. And then the second paragraph is going to encourage your child to try to solve the problem just like that hero. So here's an example. This is a child who is really into Regis and who wants to be a millionaire. So in the first paragraph, we might say something like, Regis is greeting audience members every day, and sometimes he finds that by giving each person a hug, it really slows him down. So instead, he's going to start to shake hands now to greet people. So now we're going to tell the child what to do. Quick, easy recipe. So Regis wants you to remember these steps. First, I'm going to look into the person's eyes when I greet them. I'm going to say hello. Then I'm going to extend my right hand to shake their right hand and use an up and down motion. I'm going to count to 4 in my head when I'm shaking their hand and then let go. So surprisingly, I've worked with a lot of kids now who either try to shake hands with their left hand or they want to shake your arm off, right? So this gives them some nice, very clear, simple rules for how to successfully engage in this kind of greeting. Here's another example for a child who loves Shania Twain. You can see these are a little dated. So Shania Twain meets hundreds of people each year. After her concert, she spends time with her fans, greeting them and autographing pictures. She used to hug people when she met them, and then she realized that this isn't the only way or the best way to greet people for the first time. So some people don't like to be hugged, especially by someone that they're just meeting for the first time. So just like Shania, it's important for everybody to learn to greet appropriately. And then on the other side of the card, it would give you the steps. So smile and put out your right hand, shake the other person's right hand, introduce yourself, ask them how they are, and then practice these greetings. So this is a little more simple, and this might be for a kid who doesn't need as explicit of directions as in the Regis Philbin example. So I hope that you found these strategies helpful. Here are a number of different resources that I commonly use in my practice for teaching kids social skills, and I'd highly recommend you check them out. Take a look at those. They're all fairly reasonably priced, so these are the ones that I recommend the most. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me, angelamann@gmail.com. Thanks.